Okay, so here we are. We're back with our dried pages. So you saw me do these. Okay. And then the other side I did off camera. So I chose a complementary color that I thought worked well with the blue palette. So browns and kind of oranges and goldish colors. And then this one I brought in the blue with a bit of a green. So that introduced another color into my palette. So you, again, blues and golds, blues and blues, blues and blues, a muted blue with a bit of green in it, and then bringing in browns and golds, browns and golds, gold, and then a tiny bit of a mixture, the blues, the background of one of these, and then introducing a bit of green. So that's a third kind of color brought into the mix. So now what we want to do for our next layer is look at these and realize that we're building layers. So these are quite dark for the most part, and we want to put them into the background without losing too much. So at this point, all we're going to do is add some more gesso on top. I think this bottle is empty. Yep, there we go. Little tiny bit more. And I don't want to lose too much of my colors, but I do want to get some of this into the background. And we're thinking about texture now. I want to think, I'm going to take this one and I'm going to put it face down on top and just rub it. And what I'm thinking about now is the texture of surfaces, old wallpaper, old buildings, old anything, peeled walls, okay? And every time you add a layer, we want to put it kind of in the background. So you can see, I don't know if you can see, but this, by rubbing it, it gave it a nice texture. Now this becomes muted because the next layer we're going to work with will be stenciling. So I'm going to let that dry. And coming in and giving this one, I've got a fresh bottle of gesso here. Oh, okay, just give it a little. Oops, that's going to be way too much, I can tell right now. But I don't worry about that. I don't worry about how thick it comes on. And I'm not, you see how I'm not worrying about going over every inch of it? I'm going to go ahead and take this one and rub it. And it brings it off on this a little bit. And you can do that several times to lift off your excess while giving a little texture. Sometimes it makes the one you're lifting off of subdued enough. This might need just a tiny bit, but this one now is good. Put that off to the side to let it dry. And I'm going to come on and just give, and this looks pretty cool, and I'm going to actually give it a little more texture with my fork. It's still a little too bright for me, so I'm going to still add a tiny bit more. Let's give it some more texture on top. Oh yeah, see, that makes it look really nice. And make it imperfect because nothing is imperfect. And when there's a bit of irregularity, it makes it look all the more interesting as a texture. Okay, let's see what we got here. This one's kind of subdued. It's just the colors, the top colors, the accent colors that are still a little too bright for my taste. So I'm just putting, again, another layer of gesso. So why aren't we going to have the underlayers really vibrant and bright? Well, you want them to peek through, but remember, you're going to be adding layer upon layer upon layer. And if the bottom layers are too dark, then what starts to happen is everything becomes really too dark, completely too dark. So let's see. I'm going to rub this on this one. And lift that off. And that kind of over that just a tiny bit. All right, so there's the textured side. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the 4 other sides. We're going to let it dry real nice, and then we'll come in and do our next serious layer, which is for stenciling.